What's going on, Colts Nation? I appreciate you joining me for another video where in this one we're going to be talking a little bit about the upcoming matchup with the Steelers by looking at the past. And looking at the past, I went through, honestly found some shocking numbers as I was going through. I knew as I was growing up, I knew the Steelers generally had our number. No matter how good we were, it was the Steelers that just typically we had trouble with. And like I said, I didn't really understand just how crazy it was until I started looking at the numbers. I just wanted to see, recent games and what it's looked like, and ended up looking at the entirety of the Steelers Colts series dating back to 1950. Okay, back when it was the Baltimore Colts and the Pittsburgh Steelers. And in Pittsburgh, okay, we are in Pittsburgh this week. So in Pittsburgh, all time, the Colts are 2-17. All time in Pittsburgh. One of those was in 1968, where the Colts won 41-7 in Pittsburgh. The other one, as I scroll up here, this was in 2008 when the Colts won in Pittsburgh 24-20. Other than that, they've always lost in Pittsburgh. Always. In this series, all-time series of 35 games, the Colts have never won more than two in a row. They've only done it twice. When they won in 1968, 41-7. In 1971, they won 34-21. One of those games in Pittsburgh, one of those games in Baltimore. They didn't win consecutive games again until Shane Steichen got to Indy. And it's not like the Steelers have been world beaters like they used to be. But even with the Colts, 2024, not incredible. 2023, up and down, ended up not making the playoffs. We ended up with 2 wins. Both of those in Indianapolis, which is strange. But Colts win 30-13 in 2023, 27-24, which was a game I was at last year. In 2024, was able to get to that game with my dad when I visited Indiana and was seeing family and whatnot. All time. Boy, I tell you, when I looked this up, I knew the Steelers were going to be the leader in the clubhouse in this. I didn't know it was this bad. All time in 35 games. Before I say this, go ahead, put your prediction real quick. 35 games. What do you think is the Steelers' lead in this series, okay? The amount of points that have been scored, 887 for the Steelers, 611 for the Colts. That was like all-time bad. So what do you think out of 35 games? How many do you think the Steelers won? How many do you think the Colts have won? Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Steelers lead the series out of 35 games 27-8. 27-8, dude. That is ridiculous. And there have been 2 times in history that the Colts have won 2 straight. So half of their wins against the Steelers have come in back-to-back times. Now, it's not always that we're playing the Steelers all the time. We have played them a lot recently. Even going, of course, during Peyton, we really didn't play him as much as you would think in Peyton's time. Honestly, it was more Luck's time. And after 14, 15, 16, 17, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24. We play him almost every year for the last 10, 11 years. Why that started to happen, who knows? Before we won 2 in a row, the Steelers had won 8 in a row, dating all the way back to 2011. So definitely a team that we've struggled with historically. Now, here's the good news, is that historically doesn't really matter, right? Like, you can talk about this team and that team, and this team has never won here, or it's been 50 years since this team has won here, and da-da-da-da, whatever the case may be. None of that matters. It really doesn't. The only thing that matters is the teams that are on the field this year. That's just a simple fact of it. You can look back at the history and try to, like, I know as people that gamble, right, you look at, oh, well, you know, this coach, like Shane Steichen being 3-0 against the Steelers over the last 3 years, right? 1 with the Eagles, 2 with the Colts. Like, yeah, that's great. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because this is a different Colts team than what he's operated with, right? When he was with the Eagles, they won 35-13. But he had Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, all them boys. A.J. Brown went nuts, 6 catches for 156 and 3 touchdowns in that game. But the Steelers had Kenny Pickett, right? Jalen Warren was a leader in rushing yards. Pat Freiermuth, their tight end, was a leader in receiving yards. And then you move on. The Colts, we had Gardner Minshew. Gardner Minshew has 215 and 3 touchdowns. Trey Sermon was a leading rusher. Pittman goes for 4 for 78. Deontay Johnson was their leading receiver. Mitchell Trubisky was their quarterback. Right now in that 2023 game, I thought it was interesting. The Steelers scored the first 13 points of the game, and the Colts went 30 unanswered, which was pretty crazy. Gus Bradley and his defense tightened up. And but again, it was Mitch Trubisky, right? Jalen Warren, once again, leading rusher. So there are some commonalities there. But then you move to the game that was last year, early last year, right? Anthony Richardson starts the game, ends up getting a hip injury, I believe it was, and ended up not being able to finish. Started out red hot. First throw of the game, I remember being live there. First throw of the game was incredible. He went 3 for 4 for 71 yards, right? And then Joe Flacco comes in, ends up with 2 touchdowns in the game. Jonathan Taylor rushes for 88 and a touchdown. Michael Pittman Jr., 6 for 113. So historically, Michael Pittman Jr. has done well against the Steelers, it would seem. Josh Downs, 8 for 82 and a touchdown last year against the Steelers. So he had a nice game. So maybe those are things that could carry over, especially when you look at the Steelers. Their defense this year is probably the worst Steelers defense in my lifetime. I think just hearing what a lot of Steelers fans are saying, could be the worst Steelers defense of our lifetime. And they're not making any changes. So although they did get Kyle Duggar from the New England Patriots, a few hours before I started recording this, they made a trade. Kyle Duggar not on the Patriots anymore. He's now with the Steelers, and now Deshaun Elliott is going to be on the injury reserve for the Steelers. So they made a move, they picked somebody up. Kyle Duggar hasn't even been playing. Now I think he's a good player. He just hasn't been playing for the Patriots. So we'll see just how effective he's able to be. But overall, this defense hasn't been great. They have Jalen Ramsey over there. And Jalen Ramsey has made some plays this year, but he's been pretty vulnerable. They also have Darius Slay. Darius Slay you could definitely take advantage of right now. So I think the way this offense is operated, going into Pittsburgh, 1 o'clock game, like I would be shocked if the Steelers found a way to stop this offense, especially, again, with the success that Shane Steichen's had. I mean, in the different iterations of the Steelers, and even though, again, the Steelers defense, they haven't been world beaters of old over the last few years, but Shane Steichen and the Eagles put up 35 on them. Gardner Minshew with Shane Steichen, they put up 30 on the Steelers. And then last year, the combination of Joe Flacco and Anthony Richardson put up 27. Right, and this offense has been historically efficient. They've been incredible. So I would expect us to be able to put up a lot of points on the Steelers. Now, of course, on the other side of that, they have Aaron Rodgers. And I probably should have looked up how much Aaron Rodgers he had a bunch of success against the Colts. I feel like we typically do pretty well against Aaron Rodgers, but like they have Aaron Rodgers, they have weapons on offense. So I'm not gonna sit here and say that overall like we should be able to dominate this game and that like either way we should win this game. This game in Pittsburgh, like there is an element of this is in Pittsburgh, so I'm a little slow to say, yeah, we're going to get this. But looking here as I look it up as I'm recording, Aaron Rodgers has a 1-4 record against the Colts in his career, which was the first time he ever played the Colts. He won. And outside of that, 2012, 2016, 2020, 2024, he lost all his other games against the Colts. Now, last year he was on the Jets. And we were able to beat them, but nonetheless, we haven't had a problem with Aaron Rodgers and the different iterations of the team. So, and just looking at his numbers, which again, historic numbers don't necessarily matter, but I mean, he has 3 games of 3 touchdown passes, but they didn't win any of those games, which is very interesting. Throws the ball a lot against the Colts, that's for sure. I'm assuming they were down in those games, and that's why he was throwing a lot. But, they have Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf. I believe they just signed Marquez Valdez-Scantling. They have Calvin Austin, which is a name a lot of Colts fans probably don't know. He's on my dynasty team. He's somebody I've paid attention to. He's a dangerous player with the ball in his hands. They have a couple of running backs, right? Jalen Warren. There's another running back that Kenneth Gainwell. Right? So they have weapons on offense. They have tight ends that they like to use. We'll see what happens with Freiermuth. I know Pat Freiermuth got an injury during the Packers game that the Steelers lost on Sunday Night Football. So we'll see what's happening there when injury reports come out and what's happening there. But they do have Jonnu Smith, who's lit the Colts up before when he was with the Dolphins and when he was with the Titans. And they also have Darnell Washington, who is essentially Jelani Woods, just bigger and stronger, right? And Aaron Rodgers is not afraid to use them. So they have weapons on the offensive side. Now, Colts, I believe we will get Jalen Jones back this week. That should help the secondary, which will be great, getting some help in the secondary. But again, we'll have to see what happens with the injury reports. And just like past weeks, I don't know why this is the case, but just like past weeks, I'm working a lot of nights right now. So injury report that's going to come out later today. I'm not going to be able to get to you guys until tomorrow, and we'll talk about it. But with that said, just wanted to go over kind of what we're looking at. Again, Shane Steichen as a Colts coach, 2-0 against the Steelers. Last 3 years, 3-0, putting up a lot of points on them. I think we should be able to put up a lot of points on them again. Getting Jalen Jones back, I think, is going to be a big deal. Getting JTT some more snaps on the defensive side, I think, is going to be the way to go in the future. Kind of what I predicted as we go through the year. He's going to make more and more of an impact. With the injuries happening, I think we are finally at a point where last week he was able to get on the field, had some really good pass rush snaps, and I think getting him on the field on the opposite side of Latu is going to be very, very good for this defense. And, getting healthier, little by little, getting healthier. And should help us out this week. But, again, we will look at the injury reports tomorrow. We'll see if there's any other videos later today or not. See if I can come up with anything for us to talk about. But we are going to have more content as we go through the week. We're going to be live on Sunday for the game, as we are every week. So if you enjoy the content, make sure you guys hit the like button. Make sure you guys subscribe with notifications on so you continue to get notified anytime we drop any content on this channel. Of course, I appreciate you stopping by for another video. And as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.